Yoga helps in anxiety because depression is usually the result of anxiety. People have labeled depression and anxiety into some kind of a schizophrenia. It's not. That is a completely different chapter. Anxiety comes because we don't know what's going to happen next. We don't know how to deal with it. We have past experiences which show that, oh, we are going to have trouble here. We don't know whether we are going to win the exams, pass the exams. We have written the exams, we're very anxious. Now, we have to, the yogi watches the mind very carefully. And what do you find when you watch the mind very carefully? It's precisely the anxiety that prevents you from doing well. It's not as if you are anxious that you are not going to do well. It's precisely the state of mind called anxiety that prevents you from doing well. So, when you recognize that, then you know that it is the mind that is causing the problem. The problem is not coming from outside, right? So, first we have to distinguish that and then say to oneself that this anxiety which I have because I don't know what is going to happen is not going to help me to perform the task. Therefore, I should be free of it. This is the first step. Now, when you do that, you know what happens in anxiety? Your BP goes up, the heartbeat is increasing because you are very anxious. There are ways by which you can still this, and this is pranayama. Very simple daily practice of this particular pranayama can help you handle anxiety. You can't do it only then. It should be a daily practice so that when it happens in 2 minutes you can apply it and you're free of the anxiety, which is what we call the watching of the breath. It's also practiced in Vipassana. Watching of the breath simply means we never give attention to our breath. For a change, can we give attention to our breath? As we inhale and exhale, can we give attention to it, complete attention to it? You don't even have to control your inhalation and exhalation, just give attention to it. As you give attention to it, it slows down automatically. And it's a well-known fact that when the breath slows down, the mind also slows down and anxiety is at rest. But you have to practice daily. 10 minutes of daily watching your breath will help an anxiety. When a situation that produces anxiety comes in front of you, then you can sit down for a few minutes and do this. Even when you're going in a bus, nobody is even going to know what you're doing. People are anxious, or if I breathe or close my eyes, what will people think? There's nothing to think. They might think you're sleeping. Don't be anxious about that. Okay, now that is one thing. The other, depression. Depression usually comes out of anxiety. If you can handle anxiety, then there is no depression. You know what happens? What is the meaning of depression? Oh, I have failed. Oh, I am going to fail again. This failure repeats itself. Where do I go? I am always in this state. Now, this is a negative way of thinking. There is a positive way of thinking that yoga encourages, which is you cannot try to remove the negative without substituting it with something positive. And what is yoga's way of doing it? Saying, yeah, maybe now you're in a low state because you're not succeeding, but in true essence, when your mind is very calm, you have access to tremendous amounts of energy which can lead you to success. If this thought comes that in us there is a potential which is extraordinary, which can face all situations, then depression will go away by itself. You can't take depression, keep it in front of you, try to handle it. It's not going to work. Take your mind off from that situation or thought which gives you depression by something that is positive and enjoyable. Right? Then slowly the depression is out and you're enjoying. This is the yogic way of freeing yourself from anxiety. And may I also say finally on this question that ultimately nothing is going to happen. No problem. You see, what is going to happen finally? You may lose the job, Believe me, there are many people who have lost a job which they thought was so valuable and found something which was better than this. How do you think? What happens to this? But we will not allow the mind to move forward by saying, this is what it is, it should be, but it is not going to be. Free yourself from that. And one of the practical ways of freeing is through watching the breath. I have tried it many times when I was young. Not that I studied much during the exams, but I usually used to come with good marks. Why? Because there was no anxiety. And what is the secret? Watching the breath regularly, breathing in and out, breathing. Even today, after I'm 73, and some situations it's natural that sometimes one feels a little anxious, even today. But you have your past experience and you know nothing is going to happen. So you swim. Imagine you're going to learn to swim and you look at the water and you say, if I plunge in, what is going to happen? I'm going to go to the bottom of the swimming pool, I'll die. You can never learn to swim. Once you learn to swim, you know it doesn't matter. So this is the thought process that yoga encourages.